folks, this is Jen Frankel. Welcome to the No Snark Zone, episode 3. We're back with Kit Daven because I love her so much I cannot get enough. And her husband, Sean Chappell. Kit is an author, novelist, and Sean is a fine, fine artist. How are you guys today?
I think I have a cold coming on, but I'm fighting it.
I got over mine. So I think the last time we did the first episode of this, I had a cold and sinusitis.
That is right.
So yeah, I might actually sound a little better this time.
That's nice though.
It jumped ship and found me.
Oh, well, that's so nice that you guys share. That's really sweet.
We share everything. Yeah,
super.
Yeah. So just give me a little bit of what's up for you guys right now. I take it it's holiday time, it's winter, but you guys have been so busy, right?
Absolutely nothing. We're done.
That sounds
We're done
nice.
with conventions for the year.
We're finished for now.
For now.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been on the run so much this year with the convention things. We bit off, I think, way too much for having done 2 conventions before this year. We've jumped into 8 conventions this year.
Wow.
And did a whole series of other one-day events and one-night events that we got invited to. And we've been sort of chasing a ball around rather than, sending the ball where we want it to go.
Right.
Christmas is here, and we've got a bit of running around to do for that.
But
we don't really have any money, so it's not really a lot of running around we have to do.
Right.
And then it's onto our stuff. We have a ton of ideas and a ton of work ready to rock and roll. It's just finding time to get after it.
One of the things I've been talking to people about, and creative people in particular, is the kind of books that you were reading when you were young. And I actually want to start off kind of at the other end of it and just start off by asking Kit, do you remember the first adult book that you read? The first one where you really knew that you were reading a grown-up book instead of a kid's book?
I think maybe by today's standards, it wouldn't be considered adult anymore. But when I was 10, it was. And, my dad had read to me and my mom Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so that would have been my first grown-up book.
Right.
But by today's standards, I think the horror in the book is probably now. For me, it still has an effect. But I think compared to a lot of things I'm seeing on television and in movies, it probably wouldn't even, cause one goosebump. I don't think that the psychological effect of horror back when I was a kid will have the same impact and effect as it will on kids today.
Right.
Because they're in a different environment socially, and they're going to have different things that wake them out, for lack of a better Buffyism.
Sean, what was the first sort of adult book that you read?
Probably a Playboy.
You read it?
No.
Oh.
Who reads it? Come on. My first adult book was probably It by Stephen King.
Cool.
And
okay.
I plowed through that coffee table tome when I was 10 or 9, somewhere in there, 9 or 10. That was definitely an adult book, not only from its size, but for its subject matter and for the graphic quality of what he was talking about. And yeah, everything that happened in it was pretty adult. I knew that. I don't know, it tickled my fancy, and after getting sort of halfway through it and realizing that most of the book could have probably been left on the editing room floor, it was me or it. Not to be punny, but it was me or the book, and I was going to win, so I read the whole damn thing.
So go back to Kit. Just in terms of what books were really important to you growing up.
I was very much into folklore, fairy tales, myths, and ghost stories as a kid. And one of my all-time favorite stories was The Headless Horseman.
Do you know what it was about that particular story that really grabbed you?
The Headless Horseman. That actual character itself and the graphicness of it. It was just kind of like creepy. I like creepy things. Above all else, it's got to be creepy. Sorry.
And that's
Are you
such
scared,
a...
sweetie?
Well, no, it's good.
Yeah,
Hooray.
I do. I like creepy. So
Creepy's good.
Well, and that's that
I
character's
don't
a real
know.
force of nature too. It's not. It doesn't explain. You don't get an explanation for that character, do you? You just get the.
Yeah, not so much in the original. I mean, I think we get that when we see what in the movie
The
Sleepy.
the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah, the Johnny Depp one. We get a little bit more of an explanation, a little bit of a history for the Headless Horseman, or the Headless Hessman. Hessian Horseman. God. Cannot speak today.
So, what was a book that really affected you that you really remember from childhood?
I used to read all kinds of different things from the library, so I was always there actually a lot.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Just as a child, I was fairly solitary. Just from an artistic point of view, it's a very solitary pursuit, unless you're working on a group project or something like that. So it made me sort of a solitary individual. So I was always at the library alone, doing my own thing, and I'd search through the stacks and find all kinds of different books. And God bless the internet and all of its forums and questions and different things that are out there, because we actually found a post from 2006.
Oh, nice.
Which asked the exact same question that I was trying to ask. And we found this book. It was called Prisoner of Vampires by Nancy Garden.
Okay.
And it was a book that stuck in my mind because it was about a boy about my age and he was in a library basically getting vampirized by a family of vampires while he was there.
Were they sucking his blood or just sucking his life force or what?
I think it was more like they were feeding him blood and kind of slowly turning him without him really knowing it, stuff like that. So it was an interesting story.
That's creepy.
There was
that's
that, and there was
creepy.
Yeah. So I ended up reading another one called Experiment in Terror. It's essentially about a group of kids who turn out to be alien offspring, and they don't realize it. They're half human, half aliens, and at a certain age, the alien comes out, and all of the main character's friends start disappearing.
Wow.
There's an alien conspiracy thing at the end, but he's different from everybody else. For some reason, he has different attributes, and he's seeing things and hearing things and reading people's minds, but not changing physically.
I like the sounds of that too. Kit, anything else that you that you liked growing up, and even
I read everything, Jen. I had Nancy Drew, I had the Hardy Boys, I had Trixie Belden.
I forgot about those. Those were great.
The old Disney books. They were hardcovers with the gold spines.
Yeah.
I used to have 50 of them. They were on every subject you can imagine. I had books on fairy tales, books on folk tales, Greek myths. I even had an occult dictionary. I read everything. Can't think of anything specific offhand. Though I did have. This is something I mentioned to Sean earlier. There was one picture book I had called Ulysses, which is Odysseus, the Roman name for Odysseus. And it was a picture book with paintings in it. And some of the images were very questionable. There's one where Ulysses has a woman by the hair. And she's of course, they're both she's wearing the toga and he's just got the skirt on and she's got her hands gripped around his ankle. And I'm like, it's just not really subject matter for children, I don't think. It sounds
like me looking through the Peter Paul Rubens books when I was young. He had some pretty nasty stuff in there too.
Nice.
I actually started collecting books that were actually collections of the original tellings that before they got watered down by Walt Disney and stuff like that. I have a couple of books. One is by a couple, I think their last name is Opie. Just to give you an example, one is by one is a telling of Sleeping Beauty. Thank you. Yeah. So in this particular version, which dates back very far, Sleeping Beauty, when she falls asleep and Prince Charming comes along, he doesn't kiss her to wake her up. He actually
impregnates her.
Yeah. And that doesn't wake her up either.
Okay.
And then she has children. She has 2. He comes back a second time, and that still doesn't wake her up. What wakes her up are the kids suckling on her breasts. And that wakes her up.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then the story ends with cannibalism, I believe. There's
Nice.
an episode of cannibalism at the end.
Nice.
Speaking of which, and being a kid, I hung out at the library a lot. During the summer, I was there practically every day. And I would just go around and randomly pull books off the shelf. And one day I pulled off a skinny little novelette written by Moorcock, science fiction, and the first page is a scene where girls are masturbating.
Really?
So, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So,
well, his name should have warned you.
He did it right. He put the sex right in the beginning of the book.
This will get him. Nice. Did you finish reading the book?
No, I did not. I was like, I think I'm a little too young for this. And I put back. And then I went and got my Pippi Longstocking, which was a pivotal book for me as a girl. Awesome. It taught me that I could be strong. And I read Pippi Longstocking over and over and over again. Very, very cool book.
Was there kind of a hero for Sean? Was there somebody that was your book that you read over and over again?
Yeah, I used to like things like the Beatrix Potter stories, all the different animal stories and things like that. But I used to like all the illustrating in that was really slick and really sharp. And I used to like the Bill Peet books. All of his stories. I don't know if you remember Bill Peet. It was like
he was a contemporary, I think, of like Dr. Seuss and P.D. Eastman. They all came out with very similar looking books.
Okay.
Yeah, like I had one when I was a kid called "Are You My Mother" by P.D. Eastman. It's a little bird looking for their mother and goes around. Are you my mother? And yeah, so
that's when they meet the snake on page 14, and that's the end of the book.
that would be how you'd rewrite. That's not the real ending, is it?
No.
Okay.
No,
she does find the birdie does find mommy bird. Mm-hmm. So it would explain why, as a kid, I always had this fear of abandonment. That I would go home and find my parents have moved and not tell me where they moved to, and it was probably because of that book. Sorry. Anyway, back to Bill Peet.
But yeah, the Bill Peet books, I really enjoyed them. He used to, I believe he did all of it. He wrote them and he illustrated. One of them was about it was called like The Worldly Pig. It's basically about a pig who wants to be something more than just a pig. So he's touring kind of the world trying to figure out his place, and it turns out that all of his spots are actually a map of the world. He has a world map on his body. And he ends up kind of like leading a circus. Sort of not necessarily, I don't want to say a sideshow like a freak, but he becomes an attraction, and everybody wants to see this pig now, and he becomes the center of attention, and he kind of finds his place.
Roald Dahl is a huge favorite as well. I mean, he's actually the one who inspired me to become a writer.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for watching. Thank you to Sean and Kit. Is that Sky?
Yes, that's Sky.
And to Sky.
Smurgle. Yeah.